don't manage to capture the knee line. Now I can just put this in, switch to crab hook. If I get deep here, I can start taking the back. If I don't, I can just stack her, come over to the other side, start taking the back from me.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands, strong like a tree.
The silent fox. Okay guys, today we're gonna look at a few Berimbolo control positions, because in no gi we have no gi, that's why it's called no gi, and so we need some good controlling options to still manage to be able to take the back out of the Berimbolo, because this is what we are trying to achieve. No matter the controlling positions, we ultimately want to go to the back, and there are three major controlling positions: the wedge, the twister hook, and the crab hook. And we will look at all three options briefly and see what the pros and cons are, how to get in there, and maybe when to go to which one. And at the end we will show off with a few combinations just to keep you motivated to learn this shit. Like always, if you don't or have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do so, like the video and enjoy the ride. So we're starting with the wedge. The wedge is a Berimbolo end stage position, and it's basically my left leg is hooking Caro's right leg, and my knee is coming under the leg so that I can create a good push-pull with both my legs. This one is hammering down and this one is pulling in. So now, as long as my knees or my hips face in the direction where Caro is, I have no leverage whatsoever. Okay, but as soon as my knees start facing the ceiling or even away from Caro, this gives me pretty good leverage to raise her hip. And this is my goal, because when the hip comes up, I'm able to switch the hook and start attacking the back. Okay, so the basic goal from the wedge would be to expose her back so that I can start climbing and take the back. The pros: if I land here and get this position, this is really strong. Okay, it's hard for her now to prevent me from at least bringing her up. I have so much power here that sometimes what can happen is that I have too much power and she turns right to her knees. Okay, so just to show you how much leverage you really can get. The con here is that in this position, this is not a really good controlling position. Okay, so as soon maybe I lose the knee line, or if Caro just stays flat on her back and tries to walk away from me, there's no leverage anymore. Okay, so when I have the wedge, I usually need some control over the hip as well, which could be like my hand under the hip, one hand over the hip, doesn't really matter. But just to show you, this is not really a good controlling option, and basically you don't have much else than trying to go for a back. Okay? That being said, it is pretty good if you land there. Now we're gonna look at a few entries. The basic one would be from the Berimbolo. I have my Della Riva hook, and if I try to beat her knee, which is really hard in no-gi, but if I manage to do that, I will end up in the wedge. If I can control the hip now, like I said, I can stomp this one down and start attacking the back. One more, give me some speed. Yeah. One more common option, and now you see we ended up right here, is the top bolo. Here the top bolo is always from side control or reverse side control, she turns into me. I can hook, again, the right leg with my left leg. This is basically my Della Riva hook. Now I try to control the hip as much as I can. If I can get under here, I will take it. If not, I will take the shoulder, and then I will just roll on my side and end up in the wedge. Okay? The wedge is also a pretty good position to counter leg locks. So, for example, if I end up in the saddle, which I never will, rolling with Caro, but anyways, and I manage to free my knee line, I'm basically back to my Della Riva. Okay? So if she tries to attack my leg, I free my knee line, I go into the wedge, you can attack right again, or this one is really cool. Same attack. Instead of going upside down, I could go to the top bolo with posting on the leg. Coming here. Back to the wedge. I can, if she takes an outside heel hook, which again she never does, but if she does, here, I can put this down, step over, look where we are, back to the wedge. Or another thing from reverse de la riva, if she tries to spin under me, I block this leg, I bring my knee to her knee. Now I have to bring this knee in the hip pocket, sit down. Here I'm basically back to the wedge in a seated position. Next position, and this is considered an upgrade in control, but a downgrade in the sense that we will have the same position. So all the attacks I'm showing right now, she will have them as well, and this will be the twister hook. So if we lay down again, for the wedge, my left leg was controlling her right leg. Okay, for the twister hook, my right leg is hooking her right leg, and we end up in the same position. Okay, the good thing about this is, if we straighten our legs, even hook in here tightly, this is pretty good control. Okay, here it's much easier for me to lift her up, even if I have shitty technique, because this hook is much stronger than this. Okay, so here, this is pretty controlling, and it's really hard for her to untangle this if I don't want that. What's pretty good from here is that if I manage to raise her hip, I'm in a pretty good attacking position and I can attack a lot of stuff, which you know from all the 10th planet guys from the track position. Okay, so let's say I'm able to cut the corner here and I get a pretty deep twister hook in. I can go for the twister, that's why it's called the twister hook. I can go for all those crazy leg splits, or I could just attack calf slicer here. Okay, so it's not only a good controlling position, but a good attacking position. And right now you see I managed to bring my knee down to her knee. Her hip is up, and now I'm in a much better position, and this one is much more controlling than the wedge. How to get there? Basically, you can use any truck entry, you know, from, like I said, 10th planet. An easy way to get there from the wedge would be the car was on the side. And from here, if I roll, like we said, we end up in the wedge. Just to show here, we will be in the wedge. But this time, if I switch my legs, and now not my right leg's controlling her left leg, but my left leg hooks her left leg, then we will end up in the truck. And the good thing, with the speed I just had, I can use this right away to try to expose her and already upgrade my position. And now it's no 50-50 position anymore, but it's a better position for me. Same is true if we take the turtle. So basically, whenever the same side leg hooks hers, now this is my twister hook. I could just take this leg and fall back. End up in the twisted position. Try to expose the back, or if I pull and she resists, we're just going the other way around and end up with our twister hook. The twister hook is also good in this late stage position because I can stretch her out and prevent her from turning when I take the back. The last position and the coolest one and the hardest to learn would be the prep ride, because it has the least control, but it has the least counter-taking options as well, and because I'm not so connected to her, that means that I can go in multiple directions and really have fun and make the highlight reels. So the prep hook would be just my leg behind her knee, my shin behind her knee, on both sides, and I will always try to grab her hip as high as I can. Here it's weak, here it's really strong. Okay, my basic goal from here is to get under her hip, preferably this knee will come over her hip like this. And now you see I have a deep hook here,
And if I'm that deep, I can always convert this hook into this position and start climbing the back. Okay? So another thing I can do is to upgrade one of my crab hooks to the twister hook. Now I'm back in all the twister positions. The good thing, like I said, is that it's really versatile. For example, from here, we did the wedge roll with this leg. We did the twister roll with this leg. But here we can use the crab hook as well. So this is basically the crab hook, same side. I'm pushing my knee in and my foot out. This gives me some control over the leg. I'm trying to control the hip, and now see, I'm doing the exact same roll, but this time end up deep with my knee on her hip so I can start climbing right away. Or I can even crab ride the bottom leg. So for example, from here, I try to get the same control in, pushing with my knee and my foot at the same time. And if we roll now, we will end up with a crab hook on the wrong leg, but that's no problem. I could just switch this. I might switch the grip. I might switch direction, come back here, and start to climb. So the cool thing about this transition from one crab hook to the other is that you can really invert in both directions. Okay? Some guys are better with inverting away from other people. Some guys are better with inverting to them. So just to show this example, if we're here and I have a shitty bottom crab hook, but I have a good top crab hook. Now I can come up, stack her, and invert over my left shoulder. And I will end up here. Okay, but einmal zurück. I could also from here just invert over my right shoulder and end up in the same position. Okay? So this gives me a lot of opportunities. And not only for the crab hook, but for everything else as well. Let's say we start from here with bolo. And we just come short, okay? We don't manage to capture the dealer. Now I can just put this in, switch to crab hook. If I get deep here, I can start taking the back. If I don't, I can just stack her, come over to the other side, start taking the back from me. Just an example. Or, because we want to connect all three, I could start the same way. I'm not getting beat in here. I switch to this, I get this hook, I stack her, I'm coming over, switching legs, end up in the twist. Okay, so there's a lot of combinations you can throw at people if you know how the crab hook works. If you want to get into Gi Berimbolos, I would suggest to start with the wedge, because this is the most iconic Berimbolo position. Just try to figure out where you can go. Then add in the twister hook, try not to get countered or get comfortable with this. And if you're really into it, start using crab rides, because you can just do the craziest transitions from there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Caro said we will never be able to record this in less than 30 minutes, but we did like 16. And I have to cut one scene out because she made a funny comment, but nobody laughed. We will cut this out. Anyway, see you soon. And here, just as I turned off the camera, I remembered the bonus technique I wanted to show you. This is for you, Aaron. Step into the guard and fall into X-guard right away. Normally you could hook this leg and try to attack on this side. But you could also switch this hand, come under here, spin into crab rock. Isn't that cool? Now you can do all the stuff we just showed. I can bring this up, start attacking the back, or from here, I could use all the transitions we just had. Go into mount, straight up. Nice to this!